everyone, and welcome to our Latinas in STEM enrichment overview. Before we get started, let's go over some facts about why we started Latinas in STEM. And hey Brandon, did you know that women account for 58.2% of the labor force? No, I did not. Well, for over 4 centuries, women have enrolled in colleges and universities at a way higher rate than men. So why is it that women make up a greater percentage of the labor force and the college people getting enrolled? Why is it that they are not well represented in STEM? Well, I'm not so sure. Do you care to explain, Elizabeth? So, in 2015, there were nearly 8.6 million STEM jobs, which represent 6.2% of the U.S. employment. Out of all these jobs, 93 out of 100 STEM occupations had wages above the national average. And not to mention that 7 out of 10 of these jobs were computer related. Yet, 77% of workers in science and engineering were white. These are the stats for women, but for Latinas and women of color, these stats are way worse. Latinas tend to take less computer science degrees and more engineering and science, whereas black women have a greater rate in computer science and engineering, but they still are far behind compared to their male counterparts in the same race. We had built a strong relationship with the principal of Kepner and decided that we wanted to encourage young girls in Kepner to have more knowledge about science fields, engineering, math, or whatever they choose, and also college. Here we have Gabby and Victoria to talk about their experience in the Latinas in STEM enrichment, since I was not personally able to teach most of the classes. But before I let them talk, let me talk about my experiences teaching 2 of the classes. So for the first class, I taught Fibonacci sequence, which is obviously very exciting. I don't know if you all have seen Fibonacci, but there is a way to make perfect spirals, and that is by using graph paper that relates to math and exponentially grows. I mean, I don't know, that was kind of boring to be honest, but that's what we did the first class. Second class I did was a computer science introduction for young students. So I used this when I was younger and when I was in middle school. It's called Scratch. And in Scratch, you're able to create your own stories or like your own videos. I don't know if you guys have seen like Bruno Mars videos where they sing like, hey, 1, 2, 3. You're able to create video games basically with Scratch. The sad part is that these girls didn't really like using Scratch, and I asked them, do you want to learn how to code more? There are a few who said yes, there were only 2. And the rest were like, we never want to see this again, which is obviously incredibly sad. So now let's go look at what Gabby and Victoria have to say about the Latinas in STEM program.
For our PICS project, we decided to do a Latinas in STEM class within a middle school within our community. We decided to do this because we were all part of STEM, and it was something that we thought was a possibility to actually happen for us and something we were actually passionate for. And this job left all of us feeling with accomplishment because we were able to teach a wonderful group of girls all from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade about the overall topic of STEM and the different opportunities within it, different aspects of it, and different projects were given to them to possibly ignite a passion and awareness of possibilities for these girls. Every class, we focused on a specific topic of STEM, and within each class, we would have a short presentation about that topic and introduce a topic to them through a project of some kind or activity that will get them more immersed within the topic we were teaching. And the greatest part about this opportunity is that we had the opportunity to encourage and support these young girls and let them know that it is possible for them to be part of STEM fields if they decide to do so in the future, even if the odds may be against them. So for the classes, we did a lot. We taught many different things. We started out by introducing ourselves, playing games. All these girls were very shy, so it took some time to break them. But eventually we were able to, and after that intro class, we started out with math. We taught about the Fibonacci sequence, and from there, we talked about the history of math connected to underrepresented backgrounds. From there, we went more into science, talked about the solar system and the moon phases specifically by doing an Oreo activity to represent all the moon phases. And then after that, we honored women of color in space by showing them a trailer of Hidden Figures and talking about it. From there, we talked about physics and the laws of motion, and we did the marshmallow project where you have the marshmallow and the noodle sticks and see who had the best structure overall in length, height, and strength. And then we went into talking about engineering, specifically civil engineering, where we talked about bridges and what are bridges, different famous bridges, the different phrases and definitions of bridges, and we started to build our own bridge out of popsicle sticks. And then we made a competition out of it where at the end who had the longest width, height, and overall who could withstand the most books on top of it without breaking. And we made it a little bit fun by having the winner choose where we would eat from at the end for our party. From there, we went into architecture, and what better way to learn architecture than through gingerbread houses? So we did exactly that and showed how the different ways architecture is done and how it could be difficult where some of their pieces were broken and they had to figure out a way to still make the house happen or find new ways of making a house. Then we did a 2-point perspective where they drew buildings and houses in 2-point perspective, which some really liked because it was more artistical side of engineering. Then we went into chemistry, where we made our own elephant toothpaste, and they really enjoyed that one. And the experience worked out different for each student, so they got to see what it was like to do those type of science experiments, and we told them how lab reports work and what that would be like in the future for them when they'd have to do it in their science classes. Then we went to a really fun class, again with chemistry, and made our own ice cream. And they really liked that one because obviously they got to eat their own ice cream, which was really nice. Then we went into environmental science, and we did an activity where we put oil and soap and water and had to try to do an oil cleanup of our own, and talked about historically different oil spills that have occurred and how they've been trying to fix and what different ways people try to fix these things. And then we had a few classes where we watched the Hidden Figures movie, the one mentioned before in the moon phase class, and it was a great movie to watch because it was a great representation for women of underrepresented backgrounds in the STEM fields exceeding. And so after those classes, one of the best classes we had was a class where we took a mixed berry pill, and we talked about the 5 senses. But this mixed berry pill would change how your taste buds worked. And so we brought a bunch of different type of foods, sour, sweet, spicy, waited for the little pill to dissolve on all of our tongues, and started trying out all these different foods where lemons turned out sweet, pickles turned out sweet, hot sauce turned out sweet, which turned out a little bit bad because some of them took more hot sauce than they should have because they didn't taste the spiciness. And then oranges tasted sweeter, sour stuff tasted sweet. Most things were sweet. Some things changed it to the opposite. It was a really fun class, and we could tell that the kids really, really enjoyed that one. And then the last class, or one of the last classes we had, was a coding class where we taught the kids a program called Scratch, where they use their laptops trying to make their own code and programs. And it was really fun, but it was difficult for some, but some were really interested, so it was a good class to have. And then another one of our really fun classes was obviously the Mentos and soda experiment, where we brought different sodas, different types, Sprite, Diet Coke, and a lot of Mentos, and made our own science experiment with different independent values of the amount of Mentos, the type of soda, and taught them these variables, independent variable, dependent variable, and had a good time with that. And Then we were supposed to have one more class and then also a party to celebrate it all, but sadly, Corona happened and we were unable to do any of that, which was really upsetting. But we reached out at the end, letting them know we were there for them if they ever need anything, and asked them to take a survey. And overall, we all really enjoyed the class, and I believe a lot of the girls did too. Even a few remarks from the girls was that it was their favorite class, which melted my heart. But I really loved it. These girls will have a special place in my heart, and I'm really sad I couldn't celebrate with them. But I know they're going to do great things in the future, and I'm really grateful I was able to have this opportunity to do all of this. And some of the funniest classes were where I think there were 2 classes where we had fire drills, which was very unlucky, but was an interesting experience, and I felt like a real teacher then. But in the end, this class was wonderful for, I think, both teachers and students, and I would absolutely do it again if I had the opportunity, and the means to. But overall, Latinas in STEM was great. I loved it, and it's something that should exist for everyone, I feel like. So, thank you.
Hey, Elizabeth, how did you like working with Gabby and Victoria? Well, Brendan, I absolutely hated working with them. No, just kidding. Gabby and Victoria were really good partners for this, and I think we all had a very much a passion for this project and enjoyed teaching the girls. I know Gabby and Victoria have way more to say about actually talking to the girls, because I know there's a lot of drama. But one of the things that was very hard about doing this project is that we are all STEM majors, and during the second quarter, like winter quarter, is absolutely the hardest, just because it's always snowing and we never have time to meet. Victoria is an engineer, and literally I don't know how she lives, but she probably doesn't even sleep, but she's doing so many things. And the same with Gabby. Gabby was an RA, and obviously I am a commuter. I don't have time to be on campus, and that's obviously really hard. That was the hardest part for us. There were times where we would tell ourselves that we would wake up at 8 a.m. on Saturday to make the curriculum for the projects, and that would never work out. That was absolutely a complete failure. So on my part, one of the things that I did is do more of the curriculum. So I always wrote out stuff for them, and Gabby and Victoria just were able to teach to the girls. I was personally very excited about our last quarter with our girls, which was going to be this current quarter. Our connections with the Latinas in STEM enrichment obviously don't end there. We sent out a survey to the girls and asked them if they wanted to come to DU, and I hope if all this goes away, hopefully we will be able to take the girls to DU. There are obviously many ways that we continue to improve our enrichment at the Latinas in STEM program. One of the things that I want girls to take into account is that they have the blood of the ants, of the people who invented the calculus, the people who engineered water systems, the people who created amazing architecture that we use nowadays. And I think that is important for us as minorities, not just Latinas, to realize that we are the backbone of all these amazing innovations. Beyond Kepner Beacon, aside from the Women's College, we as a group really hope to inspire the next generation of Latinas in STEM, women of color in STEM, and more diversity in STEM. We hope that you enjoy our video. Thank you.